Howdy folks, Tex Grebner here with Tex Grebner Outdoors. So you're all excited about FarCry Primal, and now you're like, I need to get me a spear. Now me personally, I've always been a huge fan of spears because I'm a primal type of guy. I'm also pretty wild because it's like 18 degrees today and I'm wearing Under Armour heat gear outside. So let's get this going. This is a Cold Steel full-sized Samburu Spear, or Samburu Spear, however you want to pronounce it. As it comes to you, the first thing that you're going to want to do is get some textured furniture paint and texture your handle. I also recommend buying 2 of these because odds are you're going to break one handle, and you can also put the spear shoe on the other end of the spear. That way you don't tear up your bag target, your block target, or your 3D animal. Now as the spear comes to you, it is not terribly sharp. Now granted, most of us are not going to be out hunting with these spears. It's illegal in much of the country for game animals, but if you guys want to see me do some legit spear hunting instead of playing around with a hay bale in my backyard, make sure to share for future videos every Saturday. Make sure to subscribe. And while you're at it, leave me a comment telling me how awesome I am. I'm just kidding. That's a smoke screen for self-loathing. Now, these do not come incredibly sharp. So you're going to need one of these carbide pull-through sharpeners. And it's going to have to be this Smith model because you're going to need a lot of force. So first of all, I'm going to set it down here and just start sharpening. Now, rapidly, I'm going to be able to see where it's actually paring down the edge. That's where our file comes in, because we need to file down a relief cut so that this carbide sharpener can do its job. So just file that down until you can see where the finish has gone away from the factory. And if you've got about 3 hours to work with, about an hour and a half per edge, you can get this thing down to a razor edge. Now be careful, because you don't want to take a lot off this first inch of the blade. Okay? Because if you're legitimately hunting with this, and that's why you're wanting it sharp, that first inch of the blade needs to be very robust for shearing off bone. Now if you wanted to get really creative, you could get one of those grizzly stick carbide sharpeners and put a single bevel on this so that it would shatter bone. But once you actually have it turned down with your file for a relief cut, you can much more easily use this carbide sharpener. Now when it's done, you're going to take this fine section and just clean off the burr, and it's going to be ridiculously sharp. Now, these carbide sharpeners on knives are a nightmare. They take off way too much steel. On this spear, it's perfect because it takes off enough steel so that you're not here for 6 hours trying to get it down to an actual relief edge. So you use a file and a carbide sharpener, and now 3 hours later, I'm going to show you what this spear blade looks like. Okay, not going to lie to you. I went back in the house to do this on the kitchen table. But I'm back outside now because this is Tex Grebner Outdoors after all. This thing is ridiculously sharp. So we're going to do some primitive style ballistic testing here in a little bit to show you just how this spear works. But let me restate, this is not a weapon that you would be using to hunt whitetail. Okay? One, it's illegal in much of the country to hunt whitetail with a spear, but also the amount of movement that it takes to throw a spear, which is why spears are badass, because the only animals that you could feasibly hunt with a spear are animals that have no fear of man. But after all, you're an internet badass, just like me. FarCry Primal, baby. Now granted, this is not a Stone Age spear at all, but I'm neo-tribal, I like my steel. While spears would not be very good for deer hunting, I'm going to show you on this 3D deer exactly where you would want your spear to be hitting. Because when you throw a spear, it leaves your hand on an angle, generally speaking. Once it reaches its zenith, it's now powered by gravity. So you're literally lobbing a razor-tipped artillery shell. Of course, you would want the animal to be quartering away, but you would want it to enter right here above where the vital zone would be on the deer target. The reason for that is because it's going to get the top lung or the front lung and penetrate through and get the bottom lung. Also, throwing the spear on an angle makes it gravity powered. And I'm going to show you just how much power just this spearhead alone has with gravity. So I'm just going to set this spear point on this chicken breast and just let it go. It punched almost all the way through just on its gravity alone. And that's with no acceleration. So I'm going to hold it about an inch above. And now it definitely penetrated all the way through. Now I'm just going to take the spear's weight and hold it on this chicken. Just the spear's weight alone on the edge made that cut. If it hits an animal where it needs to be, on a proper angle, this would be devastating. Now keep in mind, I do not have ballistic gel right now. But if you want to see some ballistic tests with this and other weapons that I may possess, make sure to share this video. If you're getting into the Cold Steel Samburu line, you're going to want to get 2 of them for sure. 1, because odds are you're going to break your handle. 2, so that you can stick the practice ends together on one spear to where you actually don't tear up your foam 3D critters. I would advise leaving this spear point dull, but if you do decide to sharpen it, a carbide sharpener by Smith is an excellent way of doing it. File the relief cut on it after you see where your carbide is running. That's going to speed the process up a lot. And then take the burr off with the ceramic side. Now if you want to see me, Tex Grebner, the one and only, doing some real spear hunting, make sure to share this video. Leave me a comment. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Please check out my friends over at legallyconcealed.org. Thank you very much to those who have been involved in law enforcement and those of you serving in the military. And thanks for watching Texas Grebner Outdoors.